101, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Are you ready for the recording? So we're going to call this regular meeting of the Atascosa County Commissioners Court to order, it being January 11th, 2021, 9 a.m. in the Atascosa County Courthouse in the Specialty Courtroom, Suite 202. If you'd please stand with me for prayer and Pledge of Allegiance. Bow your heads, please. Father, we especially ask you to put your hand not just on us, but on this nation and the things it's going through. We ask you to be our source and our guide in everything and take us where we need to be going as a nation, as a people, and in our own individual lives, to create in us the right attitude, the right heart, and right spirit that you would have us to have, to give us integrity and honesty and compassion. So Lord, we ask you to bless this meeting today so that we can be the representatives for the citizens of Atascosa County, and we can make proper decisions that are necessary and correct, and that you would just watch over us, and that our words would be your words and our actions would be your actions that you would have us to have. And we ask this in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Face the flag, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay, agenda item number 3 is public comments. So I need to do a little business here. We have a number of people who have signed up, which, so we have people who have signed not only the public comments, which is for the hearing, but also public comments forms. So what I need to do is ask you if you want to speak on the subdivision item, the hearing in agenda item number 5, and you have a legal right to do either one. But I'm going to ask you if you would wait and speak during that time. But if you have comments on any other item, or you wish to go ahead and speak on that right now, this is a public comments time. So if anyone who's filled out a form would like to come up and speak now, I guess just raise your hand so I can separate out who's what. You want to speak now? Or during the public hearing? Okay, thank you. So everyone's pretty much for the public hearing. Okay, well, we have a legal obligation to make sure that we honor the public comments section too. So try to make sure we follow the law and do what's right. Okay, so we're going to set everybody aside here, and then we'll be right to that. I've moved it up to the, it's actually our first action item, so that I knew there'd be a number of you here, and we wanted to let you go through this process, but also didn't want to make, I'm sensitive to not making people, when they have a specific thing they want to talk about, not have to sit through the rest of some of our business, which can be kind of boring. So we've got you up at the top of it. So we're going to move past public comments and move to agenda item number 4 with Don Penny and Roger Garcia. Discuss and take appropriate action on update on current COVID-19 situation, needs, and response. Good morning, Mr. Penny.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Roger is over at the testing site in Poteet right now, so he won't be here today.
I understand also, if the public is watching, I was called by Tatum, Texas Department of Emergency Management, and they said they're going to be running a couple of hours late starting this morning.
And tomorrow morning.
And tomorrow morning.
Due to the weather. They're going to start at 10 o'clock this morning.
Okay.
The testing sites, the drive-through, it's a drive-through testing site at the Poteet Strawberry Grounds. They're gonna start at 10 o'clock this morning through 5, and tomorrow at 10 o'clock through 5 p.m. because of the weather, and make sure everybody gets where they need to be safely.
And
The rest of the week, they'll be running 8 to 5.
Wednesday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Wednesday through Friday, 8 to
Monday and
5.
Tuesday, 10 to 5.
Yes.
And there are no appointments required, there's no preconditions required.
There's no appointments, but there is a pre-registration. When you pull into the deal, there's one of them big queue things that you can scan on your phone. And when you pull in, you scan it on your phone and it'll register you. So it doesn't take that long to register.
Well, let's put it this way, if they've already pre-registered online and you haven't registered, you can register when you get there, but you may
Yes.
be behind the others that are already registered.
Correct.
Okay.
And like I said, it's a drive-through testing, so it's pretty quick and easy going through there. We had two drive-through testings, one in Jordanton and one in Lytle. The one in Jordanton had 399 people drive through it, and that was an 8 to 5 deal. The one in Lytle had 406 people drive through it, and that also was an 8 to 5 deal.
And that was last week.
That was last week, yes.
Well, we asked for that, I asked for that, not because we're trying to build up our COVID numbers, as some people have alleged,
Yes.
but because many people have called, and people are struggling, and those without insurance, I understand that some places are charging up to $200 for a test.
Yes, 200.
And these are
250.
free. There's no
Yes.
charge for these.
No charge,
These
these
are
are
state
free.
tests, and anyone is welcome, they just have to follow the rules when they
Yes.
get there.
Correct.
Okay, but
And
that's why
our-
we asked for them, because of many people that can't afford to get the test.
And our personal, Leslie, she has conducted over 100 tests last week.
Our personal what?
Our Leslie Benefield over here at the juvenile.
Oh, yes.
She conducted over 100 tests with county employees there.
Yeah.
As of Friday, our percentage count with the GA 32 is 21.5%. And that number has a lot to do with our closures and our capacities and everything. 3,387 total cases since the beginning, of which 3,057 have recovered. And Friday, we had 312 active cases.
How many active cases, sir?
312.
212.
Our PPE supply and everything is at a good portion right now. We haven't come up on any shortages. We have stock, that we have ready to deploy if we need to give it to the nursing homes or whatever to get them back up so they can run. Plus the county employees, we have masks and shields and everything for them. Pretty much that's it. Like I said, I'm gonna head over to Poteet here in a little bit and be with Roger over there for a while. Other than that, things are going right. We do expect the numbers to go up because we are testing more, but, I'd rather know if I had it than I didn't have it. And I've had it. It's not that bad. It can be worse, but it's not that bad.
I think it's a good thing too, because it's after New Year's and, we can get a good handle on it, and then, we don't really have any major gathering events that people go to for some time, so maybe we can get this addressed and get it dealt with, and we can start getting.
And now that the vaccines are going out, King's Medical, they have had clinics, 3-4 clinics now, and they still have a waiting list right now with 600 people.
Let's give us a recap of who has vaccine available in Atascosa County.
King's Medical, that's Dickie Reyes, Dr. Dickie Reyes. She has vaccines available. You can call and sign up, and we have the information on the Mercy Management page. Quality Urgent Care down here by Walgreens, they have vaccines available. HEB in Pleasanton, they had a certain number of vaccines. They had 100 vaccines. From what I understand, they have given all theirs out. They will get resupplied. And also the HEB in Lytle has 100 vaccines. Both Dickey and Quality have 500 vaccines each. And they will get resupplied once those numbers go down. Now, Dickey should be getting resupplied a lot quicker because she's had the 4 clinics that She shut her business down for one day and did nothing but immunizations all day long. So she should be getting restocked right now.
Let me, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no,
but I
you're
have some
fine.
things I want to, that I
Well-
think the public should be aware of.
On the immunizations, I think I know where you're going. Immunizations are free. You will not be charged for the immunization. However, they may ask for your insurance, and the insurance is only to charge for actually giving the shot.
Yeah.
Now, those people that don't have insurance, they will not be charged. It is completely free. It's a government thing. So if you don't have insurance, don't worry about saying, well, I don't have insurance, I can't pay for it. No, you will be given the shot free, and we need to get, people vaccinated and get this over with.
Well, right now, we're in 1B status, which is people that are 65 and older or have underlying medical conditions, and there's a list of those, but if you go online and look at it, that list is not, it has a clause in there that says it's not limited to those. So if anyone thinks they have an underlying condition, they just simply go present it, and most likely they'll get the shot. If
Correct.
they just simply are worried about their own health and they
Correct.
feel they have an underlying condition.
And just because you live in this county does not mean that you have to get the shot in this county. You can go to San Antonio. The Alamo Dome has set up a big drive-through.
That's not exactly true. I'm going to tell you about that in a moment.
Okay? From what I see.
And I thought the same thing too, but I'm going to explain that. I didn't mean to
Okay, no, that's
argue
good.
with you, but I've got some new information on that.
Okay. So, scratch that.
But the general clinics that have vaccine, and you can go on the TDSHS website, and I believe we have a link on our emergency management page. And you can go in there to the search mode, you can extend it out 50, 100 miles, and it'll bring in all of Bexar County. It'll give you a list of all of the people you can go to, and they are available. However, the Alamo Dome thing is a sore point right now with me, and I've been on the phone this weekend to our state representative's office and with TDISH people. San Antonio is not allowing anybody in that site but San Antonio residents. And I'm very upset about it. We don't limit anything we do here to keep out Bexar County residents. And I'm going to be proceeding. I have a Zoom meeting with on vaccine and with this issue with TDISH officials and TDM officials at 11 a.m. this morning. And if we don't get anywhere with that, I plan to write the mayor of San Antonio a letter and tell them that they should be ashamed of themselves.
Yes.
And I understand why they're doing it, I get that, but it's not the right attitude. That vaccine, they did not pay for.
Correct.
The federal government paid for it.
Correct.
And I understand that they're paying for the Alamo Dome, I understand they're paying for the staff, I get all of that, but we're all in this together. And I'm very, very upset about that. I had people calling me this weekend saying they tried to sign up, everything's full at the Alamo Dome right now. Everything's taken. All the vaccine they have, every appointment they have, it's all taken. But before it was, people were calling in from this county and were being told they wouldn't take their reservation. And I checked with Colin, who you referred to, with TDISH, and he contacted me, and so did Representative Guillen's office, and they said that is correct. That is because San Antonio Metro Health runs their program, and TDISH runs Region 8, which we're under. So they're under a slightly different method of management, and they're just going to have to figure out what they're going to do about it, but they're not happy about it either. And so we'll just see where that goes from there. And if nothing else, we'll just file the largest complaint we can and we'll move on. We're also going to be negotiating for more vaccine for Atascosa County.
Yes.
But I wanted to make that announcement and let people know what was going on. Because that's been on the news constantly about the Alamo Dome, but it's a little disappointing, I'm sure, to all the surrounding counties. Are there any questions for Mr. Penny?
Thank you, gentlemen.
One other thing is that I've been in constant touch with the funeral homes, and they're at capacity, and we may have to, it's not a very pleasant subject, but we may have to look for external storage, and I'm going to be working on that today. And it's not necessarily because of COVID deaths, but it's because of COVID concerns about holding funerals.
Yes.
And they're trying to honor everybody's wishes, and they're having a harder time with that, and they're probably going to have to change the way they're operating. And what worse time to have to not let people do what they want to do when they're dealing with the death of a loved one. But unfortunately, that's where we are right now. And so I'm going to be working on that today too. Okay. Thank you. I just want the public to know these things. I think they have a right to know. There's no action on that item, so we're going to move on to agenda item number 5. A, conduct public hearing on the preliminary plat and construction plans for the Verdi Acre subdivision, a 44-lot single residential subdivision located off of FM 1784, Precinct 1, Atascosa County, Texas. Number 1 is to open the hearing. And good morning, Mr. Rowell. And if you have any comments.
I'm here for questions and comments if you want them. So
I was sitting here watching for you to come in. I was waiting for you.
I'm here.
We need good legal counsel for all sides. Okay. The first thing that we've been asked is Mr. Elias Woloski, who is the developer, asked to make a statement beforehand. He has some health concerns, so he's attending by Zoom. And can you hear me, Mr. Woloski?
I can hear, but not, I cannot understand clearly what you're saying.
You can't hear what we're saying?
I cannot hear clearly. Would you please repeat?
He can't hear clearly.
All right, we'll speak as clearly as we can for you, but it's time for you to make your statement. You asked to make a statement before we started the hearing.
Yes.
And we also ask you to be here so that if you can stay for the full hearing so that you're here to answer questions for the people that are here. Would that be possible?
Can you repeat that again?
Can you remain after you make your comments for the whole hearing so that you can answer questions?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Thank you. We appreciate that very much. Please go ahead and make your statement now.
Yes, thank you. Good morning to everyone. My name is Elias Woloski. I'm the founder and president of EAC, the developer of the Verdi Acre subdivision. I would like to thank Commissioner Sport for being sensitive to my health issues and allowing me to be present via Zoom. Before, I had a talking points to say, but I would like to say first that the images that are being shown were taken during construction, and it's not an accurate representation of how the subdivision looks now. And we do have images at the meeting the engineer has, and he can, if you allow him to show you the images so you can have an accurate representation of how beautiful the subdivision looks now. Would that be allowed?
He's asking if we would allow Walt to show images.
To show what?
These are the pictures,
Okay.
pictures you have here.
All right, well, they were handed to me, and I looked at them while he's talking. I'm passing them here with the commissioners. Where else do you want to do with them?
That's all, just, Mr. Woloski, they have the pictures, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to start by saying that we acknowledge and respect the concerns of the Verdi community residents in regards to having a new development in the community, and I would like to address some of those concerns raised in the December 28 Commissioners Court meeting. I would like to start by describing how EAC works so that I may address the concern that our company may not have a vested long-term interest in the subdivision. EAC was founded 35 years ago, and our operation consists of creating subdivisions and then selling the vacant lots to individual buyers. EAC, not a bank, finances the lot to the buyers. The finance terms for these sales is 30 years with a monthly payment plan. Once we sell the lot, EAC owns a note and holds a lien against that particular lot as a collateral for the note. Having a safe and cared for community maintains or increases property values. The more each lot is worth, the safer our investment is. So we remain involved in the subdivision and have a very strong interest in protecting the property long term. With these goals in mind, we have created a declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions for the Verde Acre subdivision. These restrictions are designed to protect and safeguard the lot in the subdivision over a long period of time. They include restrictions against some of the concerns raised in the last meeting, including but not limited to prohibiting dogs from wandering, burning trash, and failing to keep lots properly maintained. The agent for enforcing these restrictions is the Property Owners Association. A board of directors for the Property Owners Association will be established and will consist of persons appointed by EAC for the first 10 years. EAC will be able to appoint at least 2/3 of the members of the board of directors, which provides EAC with the means to accomplish our goal of protecting and safeguarding the subdivision over a long period of time. The board of directors will elect a president who will supervise and control the association business affairs. In the Verde Acre subdivision, the initial president will be Archie Lara. He is EAC subdivision manager and has been with our company for over 20 years. Unfortunately, Archie is sick with COVID, otherwise he would have been present today at the meeting. We have printed copies available for the subdivision restrictions and HOA bylaws for anyone that would like to take one. In regards to the concern about crime in our subdivision, I would like to say that residents and applicants for our Atascosa County subdivisions include plumbers, school teachers, sheriff deputies, healthcare providers, and other people with solid jobs. The suggestion that our subdivision will become a breeding ground for crime seems to imply that just because our residents live in a subdivision designed for mobile homes, they are somehow not going to be law-abiding citizens. I definitely don't agree with that conclusion. EAC is providing our residents with the opportunity to own real estate and build their personal wealth. EAC hired a local engineering firm, very well respected, Rakowitz Engineering, to design the streets, drainage, and build infrastructure in our subdivision. Since they are a local firm and raise their families in Atascosa County, they not only design to ensure public safety, but they also have a vested interest in building our subdivision in a way that is beneficial to the greater Atascosa community. Present here is Mr. Ralph Rakowitz and the project manager, Ray Baker. They will address any questions you may have regarding technical aspects of construction, starting with the particular concerns raised in the last meeting. Before the engineers address your concerns, I would like to mention that one of the restrictions we had originally planned for this subdivision was that manufactured homes not to be older than 6 years. However, after listening to the concerns of the Verde community, as well as the county judge and commissioners, we have decided to amend this restriction to only allow new manufactured homes to be placed on lots in this subdivision. In addition, we will install a fence along the front of the subdivision that is similar in appearance to that of the RV park located across the road, as well as planting trees at the entrance. Additionally, as a safety precaution, we as the developers install streetlights on all our subdivisions, which is not actually required by county code. One final point I would like to make is that Atascosa County has subdivision rules and regulations to ensure that all improvements, water, electricity, drainage, and paved roads are adequately provided to the lots in the subdivision. The proposed preliminary plat and construction plans of the Verde Act subdivision that EAC has presented to the Commissioner's Court meets or exceeds all of the county requirements for approval and will be constructed in accordance with plans approved by the county. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Hang on ahead, Judge.
Yes, and it would help, I don't know if this will sound a lot, but I really couldn't understand everything. So if you'd recap some of the things he was saying about the HOA and the changes he was making.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll be happy to. For the record, my name's Walt Rakowitz with Rakowitz Engineering. We represent EAC and Mr. Woloski on this development and multiple of his others. I would start by saying development is coming to us, especially in northern Atascosa County. Yeah, people want to be close to San Antonio, but want to get out in the county. And as you know, unfortunately, Texas really limits its county's ability to what restrictions they can do, what zoning they can do. The counties are really, really limited by the state. Texas is one of the only, I think, the only state in the country that does that. But what it does allow it to do certain things, and mainly is through its subdivision rules. And Atascosa County has pretty decent subdivision rules. They don't follow the model code that is available, that several counties do. We're up on that. We've seen lots of bad development in this county. We've seen some subdivisions that the roads were very substandard and stuff in the past. There's a lot of it out there. Right now, we have a developer here with the EAC. I can tell you who is going above and beyond. As he mentioned, putting up street lights. The roads are being done with asphalt instead of just the two-course paving. We've had subdivisions where there was some erosion concerns, has gone in and put in sod in the bar ditches, which is pretty well unheard of to me. So, and another thing is, there's no requirement for him to have an HOA or have deed restrictions. EAC does do that on theirs and is also on this one. FY, the restrictions are available here in the HOA are here, but we also, he had us send them out to the Verde residents. They had a meeting, I think, Thursday night, so they had plenty of time to review it. So we can answer that. A couple of the highlights of the restrictions, though, is, there's always a question of, is a guy going to create a development and be gone, take his money and be gone? And one thing that's unique about this is because these are, quote, owner finance, because they are the finance company for the lots, they're vested in this thing for the 30 years of the note. So they need these things, they need it to not deteriorate to keep their values up. Their HOA is written where for the first 10 years, they control 2/3 of the board by appointees. So that helps them make sure the subdivision stays up, stays under control, that the HOA stays active. After 10 years, it goes 100% over to its residents and to the homeowners. The other thing he brought up that was a little different, normally they have a restriction that that homes have to be 6 years or newer. On this one, because of the concerns, he's modified the restrictions to only allow new homes. So that's in the restrictions. So, at that, I think maybe best thing we'll step aside and.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
If I might.
Sure. Yes, sir.
I have one of these subdivisions in my precinct.
Yes, sir.
Maravillas West. And my question would be to you and to the developer, are you gonna do this to the same specifications you did the west version?
From construction standards?
Yes.
Yes, sir, that's the county requirements, it's up to, on street standards?
Right, the way they built the streets and did the drainage issues,
Yeah,
you're doing it to the same.
yes, sir.
Same standard.
Same standard. This one doesn't have near the fall that
Right.
the one in your subdivision, but
So
yes, sir.
just my own comment to the public, the subdivision that's in my precinct was very well done. You're welcome to go look at it. You should drive through it if you haven't. I've gone through it a couple times since they started it. I don't see any issues, so I'm just passing that along.
Thanks.
And that is location,
Located off 476 between Somerset and Rossville, on the west side of 476.
Any other questions from commissioners right now?
any other questions? I'm thinking that to let everyone, let's see how many we have. We have 8 people to speak, and if we allow each person 3 minutes, that'd be 24 minutes. And if we let everyone speak and hold questions to the end, maybe we can keep a record of questions that are asked or concerns, because some of them may be duplicated. Would that be okay? No?
I need 8 minutes.
I need time, sir. I will be needing some time. He was not limited to his time, so we're asking that you do not. I mean, we're gonna be very conscious. We value your time, absolutely. But we've got some good stuff here. I'm very proud of this team. I'm very proud of this community here today. And I ask that you please allow us to speak. We met,
All right, I get the objection, that's fine. You don't need to go any further. We can stop and answer questions, but I will tell you, I'm not gonna allow a 3-hour meeting.
oh, no.
I am in control of this, and I will not allow it. That is just my responsibility. So if we go 45 minutes or an hour, that'll be acceptable, but I am gonna cut it off at some point if we go past that, and everyone may not be able to speak if we do that.
So how many minutes you want?
Sir?
How many minutes do you want to hear? I think there should be some. It's my opinion.
Well, it's a Commissioner's Court decision.
I think, I don't know what you think, but, this can't be a.
Right.
I may speak to that, Judge, if I may.
Sir?
8 people signed up, but some of those folks are gonna yield their time to the lot. There's no reason for everybody to speak.
That's,
And I promise you that we will, it's not gonna be over an hour, it's not gonna be over 45 minutes.
Well, that's fine.
no, that's
That's
what
good
I was
enough for
gonna
me.
suggest. I would guess that it sounds like we've got a couple of leaders, for lack of a better word, and that they may yield your time so that we know how much we have. If we have 8 people, then the judge by law has to chop this down into so many.
Oh, yeah, I'm not trying to be difficult. I just want to try to keep it orderly. That's all.
However, if we only have 2 or 3 people, well, then we can allot those 2 or 3 people, substantially more time. So that's kind of what we're trying to, legally, what we have to do, because if there's 8 people that want to talk about, for all we know, or what the law knows is there may 8 people have different opinions, so we have to chop it all into little bits. But if all of you are gonna, most of you are gonna yield time, well, that's what we kind of need to know.
Is everybody okay with that? Well, is that what you want to do, is let Ms. Modis speak, and then?
Yes, we agree. I still want to speak, but I'm only going to be about 2 minutes or so. It's not.
Okay.
And ma'am, you too?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that all right? Everybody feel like that's going to work out? I mean, we want to,
3
this
plus
is a community thing, but we just have to run a meeting.
Before we go too far, Paul, I got a
question.
I know the road was built to construction with respect to the county. I've approved it. The road was built correctly. My question is, the driveways that just have base material put in, and I know that they were built off of the specs of the engineering, and I understand that, but some of them are starting to wash away already. In the event when the 2-year period is up and we do a final, and we take over that road, are the driveways included in that, or does that still, because it's on county right of way now, this is after the 2 years. It's my responsibility to know from my records as a commissioner, do I need to take care of those driveways? Because they're already needing attention, I see. And if so, can I ask that the developer takes care of that before I adopt them? Or is it they were put in and he's just gonna leave it be? Where do I fall on that?
Well, the county does not currently regulate single-family driveways.
Okay.
I think there's an effort to modify that. That's coming, but right now that's not modified. I mean, I think it's reasonable that with the 2-year maintenance of the road, that yes, I think that the developer would, in this case, the developer's putting in the driveways. It's not being done through the county code, but he is actually putting those in. And same way, I believe that falls onto the homeowner or developer. Yes, sir. I mean, Mr. Wolosky, would you make that commitment that within the first 2 years, if you've had any driveways washed out, that?
Yes. All construction is warranty for 2 years. So anything that will require repair, we will cover that.
So, I think that's a commitment from the owner, so yes, sir. But unfortunately, that's, with any homeowner you have out there with substandard driveways, it's on them.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Well, instead of trying to limit each person, why don't I just simply say that we're going to limit this hearing to about another 30 or 40 minutes and let you run it the way you want. And then if you are going too long, I'll let you know we're going to start closing down. Is that reasonable?
40 minutes.
Yeah, all right. So we let all of you, you've all been together, you've been talking about it, so we'll let you organize how y'all want to present it, okay?
All right.
It's your meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Hurley and County Commissioners, for scheduling this public meeting where we have been given the opportunity to once again share our concerns in regards to Verdi Acres subdivision. Thank you, Verdi community residents. Being here today, there's a lot of other people that would have wanted to be here, but they're not here today to speak. Because of work obligations, they cannot be here. Thank you, Mr. Wolosky, for joining us here today. I wish you were here, though. My name is Camila Mares, and I have lived directly across from this proposed development for the past 20 years. My husband and our family. Judge, you have requested that we speak 3 to 5 minutes and to limit the amount of people speaking here today. In order to get our message across, Verdi residents met this past Thursday and we discussed our concerns. After sharing all the research I have personally done and what I have discovered, these residents have yielded their time to me to be their spokesperson, to speak for them, to be their voice. So please, Judge, please allow me to speak not only on behalf of myself, but on behalf of these Verdi residents. After our last commissioners meeting, Judge Hurley, you provided us with the Texas Government Code 212. I've read the entire thing over and over and over. I forwarded it to a bunch of our residents, and they too have read it. After reading it all, I clearly understand that the county judge and the commissioners are limited to these rules when it comes to building a subdivision in a county, and what you all can and cannot do and cannot ask developers to do outside of these rules. Mr. Wolosky, you and your team have done a great job with your proposal. Platting requirements,
You have provided them. You've done changes per to the request. You've submitted changes to our commissioner. Infrastructure, you're doing it right. You are abiding by the rights of ways, the roads, the setbacks, the fire preventions. Connection utilities, we are hearing that electrical lines are being upgraded for us. Water, drainage, and sewage services, it's all in the process of being established. Mr. Wolosky, this is not your first rodeo. You are an investor and a developer, and you have deep pockets, and you have hired the best engineers. I gotta agree. Rakowitz, great guys, great firm. You have the best attorneys. The utility companies are guiding you through this process. We are hearing that you have already done most of the negotiating with McCoy Water and Carnes Electric prior to getting the final approval and sign off from our county judge and our commissioners. I have first-hand knowledge that both McCoy Water and Carnes Electric have been paid to begin work on your behalf. We have been told that you have already invested thousands of dollars with these two companies. You're already moving forward with the project, betting that no one is going to fight you or challenge you. What this developer has failed to do, Judge Hurley and commissioners, is execute on the declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions for the Maravilla subdivision. I smiled when Mr. Wolosky said, here they are. We've proposed them, here they are, we've presented them to you. He or one of his representatives came before you a year ago or so requesting approval of Maravilla subdivision, and you all granted their request. This past August, they came before you again to present Maravillas West. And once again, you all signed off and allowed them to begin construction, and they have. You all gave the approval in good faith. Mr. Wolosky and his team would execute to the highest level of their commitment. Mr. Wolosky or one of his representatives committed to you all in 2019 when he appeared before you all to follow Texas Codes 232, plus Judge Hurley, plus Mr. Gillespie, Commissioner Gillespie. He said homeowners, bylaws, everything. These two go hand in hand. It's not just this and not this. It's both. It's both. Here are the facts. Chapter 232 Texas law on the county subdivisions is done prior to starting a subdivision. And the bylaws, Maravillas Owners Association, are implemented after construction ends and the lots are being sold. Our concern here today is that the developer has failed to execute on the last portion of his commitment in developing this community, the declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions for Maravilla subdivision. Our request here today is for you to reject the proposed Verdi Acres subdivision. We are asking you, Judge Hurley, and commissioners to deny Mr. Wolosky and EEAC from continuation of this new proposed development until he can show that he has a vested interest in our community, that he and his team are living and enforcing the very own contract of bylaws his attorneys have prepared and filed with the Atascosa County Clerk's Office. This is a legal document, a legal contract, and his homeowners are required to follow. This is a living and breathing legal document that serves as the foundation to ensure this development does not deteriorate and leave you all to deal with the issues once all the lots are sold. The proper execution and implementation of these bylaws will insist in maintaining property values, not only for the homeowners of this new subdivision, but also for the rest of the residents who own homes in Verdi community along FM 1784 and all the surrounding communities. The sign at the entrance of the subdivision, and I provided that for you and it's up on that slide, states and advertises, "Welcome to Maravillas subdivision, a deed-restricted community. All homes must be pre-approved in writing by the Maravillas Subdivision Property Owners Association prior to building or placing on lots." It does not state this subdivision has been built on the principles of Texas Code 232. It was built on the Homeowners Association bylaws. I have personally visited both Maravillas and Lemming and Maravillas West in Roseville, his most two different recent developments. In my opinion, and the opinion of all these Verdi community residents, is that Mr. Woloski and his company, EAC, have breached the final part of the commitment he made to you all. His company and his team have failed to uphold the bylaws and declarations, the covenants, the restrictions. Let me ask you, Mr. Woloski, some questions to think about and ponder. We don't have the time to interact with you. I wish we did, so that you can provide some of these answers. So please bear with me. Let me begin. Today you all were presented with these pictures. Well, guess what? They provided you with the nice ones. They provided you with the ones that people are complying. But I went this past week and I took all those pictures. And this is what I'm going to be talking about. Mr. Woloski, when was the last time you visited Maravillas subdivision in Lemming? As I mentioned just now, you have a sign at the entrance that says that all homes must be pre-approved. Owners Association, by the Homeowners Association prior to being placed on your lots. Isn't that correct? Can you confirm for us that all manufactured homes and site-built residents have been pre-approved by your Homeowners Association board members prior to them being placed in homeowners' properties? Who is the president of Maravillas Lemming, Maravillas West Homeowners Association? Who are your initial directors? Because you should have at least 3. Who are the board members? Can you tell us how many you have? Their names, their positions, and their titles? Do you currently have vacant seats, and do you plan on filling those seats? When was the last HOA meeting held for either of these 2 subdivisions? By law, it is required that you have a minimum of 1 annual meeting. Did that happen in 2020 for Maravillas Lemming? How many of your homeowners showed up? And do you have meeting notes? Have you had any other hearings or meetings to settle any concerns or disputes with the homeowners? You know what? We are not privy to meeting details or meeting notes, as we are not members of the Homeowners Association. The one thing that we are privy to is to talk to the residents of Maravillas, and this is exactly what I have done. I, along with a couple of other residents, have personally visited Maravillas Lemming on 3 different days last week and spoke to 6 different homeowners and residents. Friendly people, they were all willing to answer my questions. Not one ran me off of their property or declined to answer any of our questions. Let me share with you all what we learned. Not one resident or homeowner or members of their family could tell me if there was an active HOA or who the president was. They could not tell me if they knew any of the board members. I asked, just give me one name, one person, and they could not do it, because they did not know. I asked if they had met the owner of the subdivision, and every one of them said no. What about a president, a manager, a director, a groundskeeper? Every single one mentioned there's a man that works in that very first building over there, and he's in charge. When asked if they could tell me his name or provide a contact number, they said they did not have that information. I stopped by this said office building and no one was there or available. On 3 occasions, I've been there. No vehicles in the driveways. The resident I spoke to, they said that they were not aware of an HOA meeting with all the residents. Some said that they did not believe that there had been one because they were never invited to attend. One said that if they did have a meeting, he would not attend. He did not speak English, and he did not want to get involved. Others said that they keep to themselves, go to work, and try not to interfere with anyone of their neighbors. They moved out to the country, so no one would tell them what to do and what they cannot do. Regular assessments. They were not aware of having to pay any assessments. I had 3 residents mention to us that they pay $4 a month to cover street light expense. Regular assessments are due January 1st. I asked if they had received a letter or a bill to pay regular assessments. Everyone said no, not yet. One said, I hope not, because they told us that there were no additional fees or costs that they had to pay. When asked if they were provided with the bylaws or the declaration, covenants, conditions, and restrictions, they all said no, that they were not given this documentation. Some said they were verbally told of some of the restrictions when they signed all the paperwork. Others said that they had learned some of the restrictions because neighbors mentioned, oh, you can't do that, that, and that. I asked about the age of the mobile home. Were there any restrictions on the age of the home or how it could be, or how old it could be? Most stated 5 years. Some said 2015. Another one said 2016. When asked if they had presented in writing, prior to buying their home to the members of the HOA, they all said no. They did not have to present anything, as they knew that as long as it was not more than 5 to 6 years, they were okay. There was no waiting to hear back if their request had been approved or declined. Some said they bought it, moved it onto their lot, and the mobile home company they bought it from took care of everything. Restrictions. Some said there were no restrictions or very little restrictions, and that is why they decided to buy or live here. One said that when they signed the paperwork, he was told that they were not very strict. Don't worry. Some homeowners could name a few restrictions, but specifically in reference to skirting the mobile homes. Some knew the timeline was 30 days as to when they needed to have it completed. Others said that they were not told and that they were not required. One said that it was why they had not done it. When asked if a manager had approached him or sent a letter by mail that he had 30 days to comply, he said no. He said he had moved in the middle of July and that no manager had ever told him that he had to skirt his mobile home. Currently, more than half of the manufactured homes do not have a complete skirt around them. Some only have skirting in the front, some have partial, on the sides, quite a few, and you've seen the pictures. Some have nothing at all. Dumping ground with trash, rubbish, or anything like that. 40% of the home sites are in violation of Article 403, and they are not following exterior maintenance practices that are on the bylaws. Many have piles of building materials, dirt, sand, and gravel. Farm animals restrictions. Some knew there were restrictions to just dogs, and they had to be fenced in or tied. When I asked about farm animals, chickens, cows, horses, they did not know the restrictions on farm animals. One mentioned I was told no cows or goats when I asked if I could bring them in. Trash burning, trash disposal. Some said they had to use Tiger services. Others said that they were not required to pay Tiger, just as long as they got rid of their trash and not burn it. We identified 2 homes that had burn barrels in the front of their home. When I asked several of the homeowners if they saw residents burning trash, they all said no. They had not seen anyone else burning trash either. That's a good thing. driveways. When I asked if they were required to put a driveway, they said no. Some said that the culverts were put in, and that was all that was required. I asked about parking on the front yard, or if they had to put in grass or trees, and they all said that it was not required and that no one was doing it. I also asked about fences, and they all said they could put them up, but were not given any specifications onto materials to use or the time that they had to complete it. Drainage. When I asked about what they thought about drainage and all the rainwater flow, I had two of them says it floods very bad in the middle of the subdivision. Water flows over the road to the east of the property. Over there towards that pond was what they said. Prohibited parking practices. Two homeowners said that there were two other homeowners that bring and park their 18-wheelers. One resident parks 2 oil field tankers on his property. I have pictures of this, they're up there. When asked if they had complained, both said no. They were afraid to say anything. There was another homeowner that said she really hated the food truck next to her house, but she did not want to complain. Visible address on properties. Some have street numbers, some have lot numbers, and many others have nothing at all for 911 purposes. This should be identified properly. Complaints to managers, owner, the president of the subdivision. All residents I spoke to, they've never complained to the manager. All of them mentioned they were afraid and did not want to have any problem. Others said that they were afraid and fear of retaliation. One said he would not snitch on his neighbor because he was a bad person and can do something to his family or property. One even mentioned that there was a big drug bust at one of the home sites and that the DEA was in the neighborhood arresting a particular homeowner and even pointed to the person's house and their vehicle. It is not the homeowner's responsibility to report neighbors for obvious violations like skirting, excessive trash, or junk on property, brush materials, building materials. Who's enforcing the restrictions? Can anyone speak to the citations and the fines that have already been levied on non-compliant owners? Abandoned homes, what are the rules for abandoned homes? Foundations, cements. What are you doing to enforce the completion of these started homes? And speaking with the homeowners, I asked if they each one how long they had or how long those abandoned homes had been there. And several said they had been there prior to me. I know there's a lot of stuff on here. I talked about culverts. You guys seen the culverts, and I know I'm running out of time. But I see a lot of smashed culverts. Who is supposed to fix those? Who is responsible for maintaining? Block culverts are a violation of the rules. Rocks have been placed to move or redirect flow of water. Your property manager, how long has this person been managing this property? How do you enforce restrictions and non-compliance? What is the manager doing to address the abandoned homes? Homeowners who have started building but have not and have abandoned the project. How often, Mr. Wolowski, do you meet with him or her to address concerns, to provide feedback, coaching, and to solve these violations? Are they keeping records or logs of all the violations and mailing timely letters to property owners who are in violation of these articles? Since my time is limited today, I have to end by saying these are not all of our concerns. I have compiled a chart of all the 60 sites in this subdivision with compliance and non-compliance issues. Of course, there are others I cannot provide to you today because I would be trespassing on people's property. All manufactured homes should be strapped and secured according to manufactured home codes to ensure the safety of all the residents living in their home. Are you or your property manager ensuring that this is happening? Fast forward 1 year from now. Fast forward 1 year. If these violations are not being addressed, what we are seeing today at Matavias and Lemming is a reflection of what Verdi Acres will look like 1 year from today, or what Waterwood in Bexar County, an EEAC property, what do they look like today after 25 years? Commissioner Gillespie mentioned in our meeting on December 28th that he too was disappointed with the outcome of Maravillas and Lemming. He too expressed his concerns and agreed that they needed to postpone voting until we could provide better direction. Judge Hurley suggested a public hearing. There is no doubt in the minds of the people who attended the last meeting and the ones that are here today that Commissioner Gillespie is very disappointed with the management of Maravillas. During our last commissioners meeting, I challenge all of you to drive through the subdivision so that you can see for yourself why we are objecting into placing 44 manufactured home sites on this very small piece of property in our community. After visiting Maravillas West in Rossville, that development there is definitely more conducive to a subdivision. Thank you, Commissioner Knowlton. It's a very big piece of property with lots of roads and lots of trees that are being preserved. I commend you for the work that is currently being done there. It is looking really nice, and definitely a very nice community is being built on this beautiful land. I am certain you will have many interested families that are wanting to raise their children and make Maravillas West their dream home. Had you or your team taken the time to learn more about the history of Verdi property, the culture, the generations of people who have lived here and grown up here, I am more than positive that you would not have purchased this property. The Baez and Huizar families are just two families that have a lot of history here, as so do many others that have lived here for many years. Had you visited with the Verdi residents, you all would have quickly learned that this piece of property is too rich to subdivide like this. This is a property that was quickly sold to you, Mr. Wolosky. It was not up for sale but for a few months. We have a lot of people buying 10, 20, 30 acre tracts and building their dream homes all along FM 1784, as well as 536, FM 97, and 3006. I realize that you have already made a big investment with this property, but I guarantee you, Mr. Wolosky, that if you abandon your plans here, you will not have any problems selling this property. Please, Mr. Wolosky, we, the residents of Verdi community, beg you to please reconsider. Change plans and find other pieces of land that will make a great community for the residents of Atascosa. If not here, there is plenty of land in McAllen, Texas, where you reside, your home community. You can leave your legacy in that community. The Rio Grande Valley residents need nice and affordable places to live. You can make a difference in that community, and your efforts will be greatly appreciated. The Verdi community and we are not asking you to abandon this project. We are pleading for you to have a change of heart. Please, there's plenty of land in Atascosa County. Go find another nice piece of land, but leave our community alone. You have created so much disruption for us. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak here today. I am confident that in the end, we will all win. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Reyes?
Thank you, Judge.
Hard to recognize with masks.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners, guests, and Mr. Wolosky. I agree with everything she says, so do we all. I want to touch base real quickly about history. So I'm going to reference the Atascosa subdivision regulation dated May 2011, signed by Judge Batista, Article 1.4.4. And it goes like this. I'm going to cut it short, but
the problems mentioned above would likely to further strain county infrastructure, devalue existing properties, impose an unwarranted tax burden to the citizens of this county. They would threaten the natural resources, natural beauty, and historic character of this county. And I bring this up because I am a historian and I want to talk about the Battle of Medina. And I'll give a quick rundown on the Battle of Medina. The Battle of Medina occurred here in Atascosa County. It is known as the bloodiest battle in Texas. Over 1,500 Tejanos and Native Americans plus 200 American insurgents died in this battle. More than all the other Texas battles combined. On both sides, more died in this battle. I have been researching this for 21 years and I've conducted part of this, and I conclude that part of the staging area for this assault that took place of this battle took place at this oak grove. There should be a picture up there.
Oh, I provided them with the oak grove, with the actual.
Do y'all have that photo? If you look at it, what do you see? It's on your desk. Yeah, if you show the plot, you can see the fence line that goes, and there's a group of pictures, oak right in the center. Now, if you look at that photo, have you ever seen an oak grove shaped like that? Like an arrowhead. No, that's very rare. That was deliberately set some years ago. In lieu of destroying the land, in lieu of destroying this oak, this is precious. The land can be donated to the county, or someone else, like Mr. Brown, is willing to purchase. There are a lot of people who like to preserve what's on there. Now, to you or the common eye, no big deal. But I've researched this, and I can substantiate that this is true history by the roads, the terrain, and other factors. I've been studying this, like I said, 21 years. Now, there's other places like this. This is a unique feature, but one of the most unique features that we have found in the world are the Nazca lines in South America, in southern Peru. You've probably seen pictures of that. They found those when they were flying over, and one looks like a monkey, tails curled up, the other one a bird. It's got lines. These things are huge. You can't see them from here. Again, you can't see the forest because the trees are in the way. That's exactly what's occurring here. This is history. This is known. Mr. Woloski, you have history down in the valley. Have you ever heard of the Battle of Mir? Yes, it occurred in 1842 in Mexico when a bunch of Texians ignored the rules and went down to Mir and attacked it. That's near Falcon Lake, just south of that. 240 Texans were captured and ordered to be killed by General Santa Anna. During negotiations, only 1 out of 10 would be executed. 17 black beans were placed on 159 white beans, and the soldiers that selected the black beans were executed. This is known as the Black Bean Incident. I know you heard of that in history. During the Mexican-American War following in 1847, Captain John Dunsbury, who was also a white bean survivor, and to tell you, there was a lot of survivors. One of the most famous survivors of that was Bigfoot Wallace, a descendant of Wallace from the movie Braveheart, and was named the big town of Bigfoot right here. Captain John went down and exhumed the remains and reinterred them in a tomb 6 miles south of today, present-day LaGrange, Texas, in 1848. This is now a monument, a state park known as Monument Hills Historic State Park. You, Mr. Woloski, or anyone who purchases the land or even takes it over by the county, can leave a legacy in history by preserving these huge heritage oaks in the shape of an arrow. By donating the land of 30 acres as a county park, or like I said, reselling to someone who believes in history. I believe the Commissioner's Court should vote to save these trees. Again, you're in that moment right now. We here, all of us are in this moment. We had a cemetery there as well. My aunt is here to testify. That alone takes precedence over just mowing some trees down and putting in an asphalt road, as is shown on this document. I would like you for really to consider the historic value in this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Yes, sir?
Well, I don't have any questions, but do I have a moment?
Sir?
I'm reading on this, do I have a moment to talk to you?
Sure,
All right.
sure. Yeah.
All right, Judge Hurley, Commissioners, my name is Brown, Danny Brown. I live on Old Adams Lane and down there in Lemming. You know, in 1985, we moved out there. Mr. Lewis Reed was selling a subdivision, and that subdivision had, I don't remember, 8 or 9, 10 tracks, something like that. We bought the biggest one there on the corner, and we wanted to move to the country because we love the idea of getting out of San Antonio, and you know, we wanted to build our own home. So my wife and I literally built a home there. It's an underground, earth-bermed home, built it ourselves, tied the rebar, poured the concrete, all that. And there were no restrictions for the most part. Now, there were some. Mr. Reed said, okay, we're not going to have any old junk cars. We're not going to have any washing machines. I mean, it's not going to become a junkyard, okay? But over the years, some folks around there have turned it into some pretty bad. A couple of places there don't look very good. The reason I'm talking to you right now is because of what's about to happen across the street from me, and it's very similar to what could be happening, you know, with this other subdivision. Yesterday, Sunbelt Lands sold their first tract across the street from my place. It's 550 acres there, and they've subdivided it up into 224 feet long and a half a mile long. 224 feet by a half a mile. So basically, it's 11-acre tracts. And I talked to the guy that was selling it, and I talked to the people that were buying it. And I said, well, what are y'all going to do? What kind of restrictions do you have? And subdivision guy said, we don't have any subdivision. We don't have any restrictions whatsoever. He said, we're going to build, they can build anything they want. Heck, they can build 2 houses if they want to, because it was 2 families there at the time. He said, I said, well, is it going to be homes? Is it going to be mobile homes? Is it going to be, you know, permanent residence? He said, I don't care. It doesn't matter. They're going to do whatever they want to do because there's no restrictions. That's what we're getting into. That's the kind of problems that we have. And I realize that this other subdivision has, you know, I've looked at those places too, and I'm a little concerned because obviously I'm going to be living right across the street from 550 acres, but it's 55 tracts. And so those are the kind of things that we got to look at. If there's anything we can do to at least make these guys have some kind of rules and regulations and then have them abide by them. You know, that's my concern. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak?
Thank y'all for having us today. Just real quick, 1780.
State your name,
Oh, I'm
please.
sorry. Blake Staten.
Thank you,
I
Blake.
live at right there off 1784.
Thank you.
1784 is a 2-lane road. I mean, it's an FM road. We've got, you know, oil field trucks coming up and down it all day long. I live pretty close to the road. No big deal. But we're going to add, you know, 44 new families into this place. Let's say that every family has 2 cars. That's 80-something cars. You know, 90-something cars. That's an extreme amount to increase the traffic flow on that road. There's no shoulder, there's no turning lanes. You know, it becomes dangerous for everybody. We have, you know, a lot of elderly people out there. They may not drive the best, but everybody knows to look out for them. These 44 new people that are coming in, or 44 new families that are coming in, don't know that, you know. So it becomes a safety concern to me as the road is so narrow and there's no caution, you know, from these people coming through. So that's my piece. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Someone else? Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Sharon Caraway. I spoke at the last Commissioner's Court. And those things that I brought up were addressed. But I want to give you all a little history of some things, because my concern is drainage issues. I'm speaking on behalf of my neighbors across from, or directly next to this subdivision. My husband has lived there all his life. That's the home place of his family. So he is very familiar with drainage issues, what happens on the roads. And unless you've lived in that area, you wouldn't really know about all of these issues. There are about 8 spots on 1784 where it's prone to flooding when we get significant amounts of rain. Okay, one of those spots is at the end of our driveway. We are located directly across, if you look on the plat, it's right next to the RV park, to the west of it, okay? At the end of our driveway, water goes over the road. The reason for that, and this is not a county issue, it's a state issue. We've gone to them numerous times, they have not addressed it, but water sits in the bar ditch, or the ditch, and it can sit there for several days sometimes. My concern is that when we do get significant amounts of rain, where it's happened over a long period of time, the ground gets saturated, and we have had times where the water has flown over the highway, almost like a waterfall, and gone down to the residence that is directly across from us, which that is the Espinosa family. On the plat, it shows Julian Garcia Jr., but they no longer live there. They have recently sold that. My point is that the elevation of their home and the elevation of the subdivision, it tends to, if the runoff is coming in that direction, and if we're having rain issues, they might end up getting water coming in from both directions. I try to understand this. I'm not an architect, I'm not an engineer, but when I'm looking at this plat, do y'all have a copy of it? Okay. So I'm seeing it referred to as a detention pond. I don't know if you could clarify that for me. What does a detention pond actually do?
The detention pond is designed to attenuate the extra runoff so that it releases the flow at or below what it is today from the development. So it holds back any extra runoff created from roads, from house rooftops. It holds that back so that it does not create an impact on downstream properties.
Okay.
So it should release at today or at or below today's rates.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How deep is this pond, or this easement is what it's called on here? How deep is that?
The depth is 3 foot, approximately 3 foot.
3 feet, and it covers, do you have an idea of how many?
Back of 2 lots, approximately an acre.
Okay. So is all of the runoff from the whole subdivision going into that?
So the proposed roadway will intercept upstream flow and take it to the router to the detention pond. So
Okay.
It'll alleviate, we have it as Garcia. We said we
Yes.
recently sold.
Right.
That property will get less flow.
Because it'll be
After the
diverted?
flood, it'll be diverted to the pond.
Okay.
I have a question. When you're answering the question, could you get up and speak in the
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not you, but.
Okay, so, these drainage easements that are culverts, what are they built from? Is it base? Is it concrete? What exactly are we talking about? Is it sand? Is it the blow sand that is actually?
Right, so the detention pond is built off the native materials, earthen detention pond. We'll have corrugated metal pipe culverts with concrete ends. The ends will be concrete, the pond will be earthen.
Okay, so you said concrete, is that like a dam kind of situation? I'm just trying to.
Where the culverts are located to discharge the water, will be concrete, poured around the ends to protect that from washing out.
Okay.
The rest of, say your typical stock tank thing, will be earthen, where the water flows out, will be concrete pipes.
Okay, so if though there is an overflow, where does the overflow go?
In the easement. There's an emergency spillway at the back of the pond for, say, a larger than 100-year storm event. That'll overtop the pond in
Okay.
a designated area in that drainage easement to go down.
Okay, so, have y'all ever been out there when it rains? In the Verdi area? Have you driven on the 1784 and seen how many, there's like 8 spots where the water flows over it?
Exactly what we're talking about on the text side roadway portion, there's on the culvert there, by the forward part of the property.
Yes. Okay. My concern is for the 2 residents that are directly next to that, that if there is a breach of this earthen dam and water is, where is it flowing through their property then? Which,
Joanne, the detention pond is located several lots downstream of that property, so there's not any undeveloped properties that are downstream of the pond. There's not any homes located downstream of the pond. The homes are up here.
right, and back here?
The pond is back here, so it discharges.
Okay, so you're saying if all the water goes into this detention pond, it's not gonna retain it, it's not gonna hold all the water that,
Right, for example, a Hurricane Harvey hits or something like that, the pond overflows, it will continue going downstream as it does today.
do we
The
know
same
where,
flow pattern.
do we know where that is?
Yes, ma'am.
For the sake of the residents that have property there?
It will flow in the existing flow that's on the property right now. We're not going on the neighbor's property and moving anything downstream. We're taking our flow to the detention pond and discharging at the existing load and on our property. It will continue downstream to the existing load, and that load drains all the way to the interstate.
Okay, I'm kind of concerned about that is not enough, the pond is not gonna be sufficient to keep
So the
things
pond-
from
the pond
happening.
is the county code, it's been designed to the county code, actually exceeds the county code. The county code only requires 25-year storm event. We designed it for a 100-year storm event. So we would assign it to more than what the minimum requirement is.
Okay,
Anything beyond a 100-year storm event, even in other areas of development, such as City of San Antonio, the 100-year storm event is the highest one to
okay,
I can also tell you that the county elects to hire an outside engineer, not related to us at all.
Okay.
They have an outside engineering firm. The county pays to actually review our plans and review those from that. So even though, from the county side, legally, they're getting, signed and sealed engineered plans, they're okay, legally, they're okay with just accepting our plans. They are paying for an outside firm to review this.
Okay.
And go through. He has made comments, we've worked with him on that, and that's the procedure of every subdivision with the county, just so you know.
okay, all right.
Okay,
So I have a question,
so
in the event,
Please start wrapping up.
okay, in the event that drainage plan does not work, is the county responsible for damages to the property next door? Is the developer responsible for those damages?
I don't know that, first of all, it wouldn't be the county that's responsible. More than likely, it would be the developer, however, that would have to be, whoever was damaged would have to bring the suit in a district court, prove that it was the reason why there was damages was because of this event, or they did not, do things in a proper manner. Whether they can prove that or not, I don't know. But that would be, who would be, could potentially be sued if that happened.
Okay.
All right.
So, okay, so then you have these drainage easements. I guess my last point is, who is responsible for keeping those clear? I don't know if I got an answer, but, these drainage, there's a culvert and there's is it base that's in there? Or is it just the earth, the regular dirt that's?
It varies by where you are. There are spots that are regular dirt. There are spots that have culverts. It's a drainage system. and who's responsible. I mean, the HOA has initial maintenance, but in the event, I mean, there's also easements, because in life, I mean, if an HOA ever wasn't doing its job or disbanded or something like that, the county has the ability and the rights to come in there and do that if they ever needed to. They're gonna try really, really hard not to, because that costs county funds. But that's why the easements get created, to protect the public. So that, let's say there was, you know, let's say a freezer or refrigerator got dumped somewhere and it was blocking a drainage structure and it became a problem, and no one, the county has the right and ability to go in there and get to it if they have to, without trespassing. So they have that ability. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, we're already at an hour in this so far after the comments by the developer. So we're trying to bend as much as possible, but we need to see if there's other people who need to speak. We need to try to wrap up in the next few minutes.
Okay.
So we're going to have to move along.
Let me just make sure I didn't have anything.
Detention ponds are quite common in almost every project. We have a detention pond out here in the Justice Center project. We have detention center ponds all over the place. That's an established law. It's established law that anyone who alters the flow of water anywhere,
Right.
anytime, is responsible for downstream damage. You take that up in court. That's not up to us. We don't have
Okay.
anything to do with that.
All right, thank you. I will.
If you would like to visit with Mr. Rakowitz or us later about that, we'd be happy to set time aside for you. I'm not trying to cut you off. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Maris. Constable.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to come here and voice my concerns. My name is Mike Modis. I also live in Verdi. I oppose this development in our neighborhood, but I realize that our efforts may be limited. I believe I can speak for everyone when I say we're not opposed to progress in Atascosa County, but as taxpayers, we should have a say in what developers can do in our county. Not all developers operate in the same manner, and it's because of this that zoning is a must outside of incorporated cities. Of the 50 states in the United States, Texas is the only state with little or no zoning outside of incorporated cities. This is why developers like Mr. Woloski develop properties away from cities, a point clearly stated on his website. By doing this, he meets the minimum requirements, and once the county takes over the roads, he's able to walk away with little or no accountability. And guess what, folks? Now we pay for the road maintenance, law enforcement, and all other costs associated with these type of neighborhoods. We can sit here and blame the county judge, the commissioners, but their hands are tied. You know, the state sets what counties can do. Shame on us and shame on Texas for not having or passing legislation that gives counties the abilities to enforce zoning laws. Mr. Woloski has already established a pattern of lackluster neighborhoods being thrown together with little or no follow-up. Maximizing the minimum is not a way to win over a community. To my knowledge, no efforts were made to include our community in the planning stages of Verdi Acres. Mr. Woloski, are you aware of the history in Verdi and the generations of residents that have called this place their home? In the early 1900s, there were 2 schools within walking distance of your proposed subdivision. Generations of farmers and ranchers have called Verdi their home. Families living in the area can still trace their ancestry 200 years, as outlined by Mr. Reyes. Did your land buyer or real estate agent tell you this community had a long history, a history that has been documented in a book that we all have? That was published a few years ago. Unlike Maravillas and Lemming, this is not an open peanut field with no trees and no history. Had you or your company taken the time to learn about our community, I truly believe that you would agree that this location was not the ideal place to place 14 manufactured homes. Someone made a decision to purchase this property with zero regard for the existing community. You have impacted the lives of everyone here, not just residents of our county, but the county judge and the commissioners. You have placed them between a rock and a hard place. I would encourage everyone here who's watching and those watching on live stream to visit PoteetGrows.com. And you will see the neighborhood being developed in Poteet, Texas. I know Mayor Leal is here, and I commend him for what he's done there in his community. Bobby and Renee Gerling, along with Jay Parker, went out of their way to include the community, even asking the local school kids to name the subdivision. This 183-acre subdivision will be a great addition to the city of Poteet. Their commitment to the community far exceeds anything presented here by Mr. Woloski. I don't blame Mr. Woloski, he's a businessman. But we ask that he reconsider this project. $1,000 in your hand can buy any lot in any one of his properties. $1,000. Little or no credit required, easy financing. It's clearly promoted on his website. What does this bring to our community? Only time will tell, but if we look at other EAC developments, what you see now is what you get later. Maravillas and Lemming is less than 2 years old, and according to residents visited by Camila, there is no homeowners association, rules are not being enforced, and no one knows who to voice their complaints to. The lack of zoning will only bring crime, abandoned properties, and the revolving door living that ultimately comes with these type of lenders. This project, if allowed to continue, will only disrupt our way of life. We ask that if the project is not abandoned by EAC, it be rejected regardless of the decision that may come from a higher court. As our leaders, you must base your decision on what is right for the taxpayers that have contributed to this community for hundreds of years, not on what may happen down the road. That is not your job. Your job is to, as commissioners and as a judge, to make your decision on what you feel is best for this community and the people that have been contributing here for hundreds of years, and those of us that pay taxes. The fight won't end in Verdi. The entire state of Texas must enact rules that govern these type of developments so communities like ours aren't pushed aside and forgotten. Please don't misunderstand me. I have no issues with mobile home living. I was raised in a mobile home. What we ask for is accountability. Mr. Woloski, Judge Hurley, and Commissioners, I thank you for your time. God bless you all, and God bless Atascosa County.
Thank you. We have one more?
Yes, thank you, Kelly, Judge, Commissioners. My name's Louis Castro. I've been out there in Verdi County for 41 years now. One of the questions I have is, before this plot was laid out and everything and put before y'all, was there an environmental study conducted concerning the impact on the surrounding ecosystem?
Sir?
Environmental study?
Yes, sir.
No, sir, not to my knowledge. No, sir.
I highly doubt it. I don't know that it's a requirement.
Isn't that a state requirement before you build any kind of development?
No, unfortunately, it's not. And that, Councilor Modis was talking, that a lot of this is forbidden, not only spelled out by the state, but it's forbidden by the state for you doing these, requiring your developers to do that. That is one of those things that is not required, and I would hazard a guess that if we force that, we would probably end up in district court and would lose. Because the state has made it its goal to encourage this development.
Another question that I have is, being a property taxpayer, paying my taxes on time and everything.
We appreciate that.
If this goes through and is approved, does the developer start paying taxes on each one of the 44 plots, or has he gotten some kind of concession for X number of years?
There's no concession. And as far as I know, he would start paying reevaluated rates on the very next tax cycle.
Not the developer, the homeowner.
Yeah, the homeowner will pay it, but yes, it'll be,
So
well, even if his unsold lots will be reevaluated. So whoever owns the lots, as it's subdivided, it's gonna be reevaluated as residential and not farming, and it's not gonna have an ag exemption. So I would assume, I hope it would go up.
But he's got 44 plots. If he only sells one in a year, one or two, then you're only gonna have 2 taxpayers.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, sir. I think that the other 42 would be, they'd lose their ag exemption, and they would be reevaluated as commercial property, and they would raise the value. If our appraisal district's doing its job, what they should be doing is out there reevaluating that, the whole thing, and then as it's sold, each person would be allocated theirs separately from the developer,
Yeah,
but he
I
should be paying
understand that
higher tax.
part.
He should be paying higher taxes, sir, and it should bring yours down, I would hope.
Well, I would hope so.
Yes, sir. It never seems to go down, but that would be a good idea.
Okay, and my last question I have.
I'll answer the questions where I think I know the answer, so I'm not trying to avoid answers.
No, the last question I had is the materials that are gonna be used out there in construction of the road and everything, are there gonna be material, safety data sheets that are gonna be posted? I know when we were building homes and stuff, you had to have the permit from the city, county, whatever, that shows that you got permission to build that on that property, and what materials are gonna be used, so that if there's something dangerous that's gonna leach into the ground, into our drinking water, all the residents of Verde County need to
Yeah.
be aware of this.
No, I hear your question. I highly doubt that. We have so little regulatory ability. If you're in the city, they can mandate that kind of information be disclosed, but we have so little regulatory ability, even on plumbing and electrical permits in the county. We can't even mandate that.
However, to answer the other part of your question, I think Mr. Radowitz can. The roads themselves will be built to our specification at a minimum, and that requires that we don't use any,
Has toxic materials, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I
certify this.
I didn't see anything concerning that in any of the information we were provided, and that was why I was asking these questions and stuff.
We do test the roads, but it's not always the most complete way to do it after it's done, but yes, we do that.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for your comments. I'd like to say that, and I'd like, if commissioners have any comments before we close the hearing, I'd just like to say that I've been county judge for 6 years, and it's never come home to me more every year that we have so little ability to regulate these things. I grew up in South County. I still own a farm, still have a few head of cattle I lose money on every year. And there's two of the ugliest RV parks and one of the ugliest subdivisions I've ever seen built within a quarter mile of me. And there's nothing I can do about it. So I do understand. And I get it. And I think our commissioners do too. And I dearly wish we could control the appearance and the location of commercial properties, RV parks, man camps. There's a man camp about 1/8 of a mile from the corner of my farm. And these things are butt ugly, if you'll pardon me for being crude. And I wish we could control all of them. And I'll be happy to talk to our state representative about it, but I'm afraid we're going to be swimming upstream to get the state to start giving counties that kind of authority. Historically, for a couple of 100 years, they just won't give it to us, and it's unfortunate. So, commissioners, do you have anything to say, and we'll wrap up the hearing?
I would like to say that I appreciate everyone, and I would like to really hear the two speak if they can.
Oh, do we have some more people that want to talk?
I know that we're on press time, but not really.
Well, I think mine is going to be very short.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
just a
sorry, I thought
comment.
we were through.
Okay, I'm Gina Weezar, and this is Mary Luna. You'll see her name on the plat and where she lives, but they grew up, that's her family property that was sold. And the reason she wanted me to speak for her, because she's nervous to speak, but something that was brought to my attention in the last few days. And Ricky Reyes made comment when he was speaking about a cemetery. And if you heard him say, my aunt can verify, well, this is the aunt he's referring to, but I want to clarify something. She cannot verify there's a cemetery, but she was told by her mother that her mother had a child a stillborn child, by all she can remember, because it's been many years ago, that was buried on that property. And she knows where, because her mother told her where. And anyway, that's a whole different, subject than what's been brought up. But I have, like I said, just recently found out this information. I've asked other people. They've said you need to bring this to their attention because there has been someone buried there, or at least that's what she was told. And anyway, so, I mean, there's a lot more detail to that. But like I said, that's what she was told by her mom. And she can tell you where her mom said that would be. But as far as a cemetery with other, bodies there, she cannot verify that. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
That does sound really unfortunate. You should know there's a clear body of law for any family cemeteries that are registered with the state of Texas, and homeowners cannot build over them, and they have to provide access to them. We're very much involved in that with the Atascosa Historical Society, logging these cemeteries. But if there's nothing been done about it, I don't know that anything can be done. And that's unfortunate, but it wouldn't hurt to consult with an attorney. Another thing, and thank you very much. And another thing I want to say is that there's a number of issues brought up here that certainly we can't do anything about, but can be taken to district court. You could get your own attorneys. You can talk about environmental issues. You can talk about many of these things. And you have every right to do that, and you can exercise those rights to do that. And I don't want you to leave here without us telling you that you should explore all the legal rights you have. But all we can do is deal with what our legal rights are. And Trent, would you like to address some of these things?
And, yeah, unfortunately, the way that we do things in this state with property that's not in a city is that they put the onus on other property owners to enforce. So, for instance, these homeowners associations or the deed restrictions, which they're not even required to have. The onus is on those people that have bought, like you were describing, the people in the existing subdivision that don't want to get involved and don't want to cause waves. Well, unfortunately, the mechanism that the law provides is them going in and enforcing that. And, that the county has no ability to do any of that. There may be some limited instances where neighbors, can bring complaints if there's they feel that it was a nuisance brought to them because they were there first, and now something is there that is a legally defined nuisance. They could bring that into court, into district court, but the way that the state has for, as Judge Hurley was describing since the inception of this state, they have put the onus on the property owners to enforce it. You mentioned, they go out to the country because they want to do whatever they want. Well, that's not only, that's what a lot of people have that attitude, but that's enshrined in our state law. Basically, if you move out to the country, there is very few limitations on what you can do. And that's why a lot of people, unfortunately, that don't have, you have my sympathy. My family land is a little east of here in Gonzales County, where our family was there for, 150 years or however long it was. Luckily, we're not close to San Antonio, and you have the benefits and the detriments of living so close to San Antonio. And so you have people that want to move there just for that reason. The keys to this are with the state legislature. If the state legislature decides they want to do something about it, then something will be done. The gentleman that spoke about the traffic problems, he's right. That's going to be a problem the county's going to have to deal with. The state's not going to give them extra money. I can guarantee you they're not going to give them extra money. But yet the county and Commissioner Gillespie is going to have to find it in his road budget to fix whatever problems are created because you've got X number of people that have moved down there creating more traffic. The problem the county has is that we have a limited amount of things that we can object to. They have met all those obligations. Like you said, the challenge of meeting the bare qualifications, unfortunately they have. We have a gentleman, Mr. Swain, that's the county engineer, that's not associated with Mr. Rackwood's firm, that, you know, we've had private conversations. He's no fan of, you know, the development because he resides in this county too. I live out in a rural area. You know, I work for the county attorney's office, so I try not to let my biases come to the top. But I'm not exactly excited about, you know. Unfortunately, in Wilson County, they have not even adopted what Atascosa County has done. So there are no rules for, you know, it's just the Wild West, literally down there. And so, but we are limited by what we can do. The developer has met the requirements, and I will tell the court that we have no legal objection for this plat. And if it's objected, I can assure the court that this will probably be brought up in district court, which will, you know, tie the county up in litigation and cost the county money, all the taxpayers of the county money. And unfortunately, I mean, I'm one lawyer, but I can assure you what the outcome of that will be, because the laws are written as they are written, fair or unfair. That's the way they're written. And so they have, the only thing I want to address the court is they have met their legal obligations, and I have, and the county, me as the civil division of the county attorney's office, have no legal basis on which to reject the plat.
All right, we'll close this public hearing and move to item B, which is discuss and take appropriate action concerning approval of preliminary plat and construction plans for the Verdi Acre subdivision, a 44-lot single residential subdivision located off FM 1784, Precinct 1, Atascosa County, Texas. Plat approved with recommendations by county engineer and county attorney's office. So this is an action item.
Your Honor, I'd like to sustain all of my motions or seconds or votes from this, only because I personally have mixed feelings about the subdivision myself. I know I'm a carer and a representative of my constituents here, but I have a lot of my concerns are on their same page. I don't feel that I can be as fair to the court decision as I would be as far as the residents. So with your permission, I'd like to sustain my
Don't need my permission, that's your right. Okay, does anyone else care to make a motion? Does anyone else care to make a motion? If there is no motion, the issue dies. I will point out, as I did in my letter to the citizens of Verdi as an email, but thank you for, Mr. Reyes, I think, forwarded that. The developer has a right to, because of our failure to pass this, has a right to take this to district court, and like Mr. Rao was telling you, and you have a right to fight it too. But a district judge is going to say, what does the law say, and does it meet it? And that's the way it'll go. And so the developer has a right to do that if in Code 212, as I pointed out to you in my email to the citizens of Verdi. Mr. Rackowitz.
May I ask if it's not being approved, can the county state the law and section of violation as to why it's not being approved?
No, we don't have one. We just have a failure to make a motion to approve in our normal business. Therefore, the motion dies.
Okay. For the last meeting, I believe there was a motion to deny it. Was there a?
There was not a motion to deny it nor to approve it.
Just dies. Okay.
Just dies.
Okay. Do we meet per the shot clock law? Is this considered statutorily accepted?
I would have to look at the minutes as
Are you asking that you prefer that it be denied?
No, sir, I guess, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm gonna paraphrase. Per state law, if a government entity does not take action within 30 days, it's automatically approved. If they do, but now an action they can take is to.
Oh, I'm with you. All right,
is
that's
to
in code.
deny.
Yeah, that's in the same code.
But if they
yeah.
deny, they have to say why.
we take
So
no
they have to
action,
say
it's
you violated rule number 13B.
I'll restate that for the record, that what you're saying is that if we take no action, then it's automatically approved in 30 days. If we do take action to deny it, then the developer has a right to appeal it in district court.
If you take the action to deny.
No, there is a clause in there that says.
If you deny, you have a right to deny, but you have to say why. It has to be, they're not putting roads in. They're not, whatever, it has to be a violation of a specific rule, so to speak. So you have to give the developer a reason why you deny it. So it stops counties from just going, we don't like you, we're not gonna approve you.
I'm not sure I agree with you that we have to, but yes, I hear what you're saying.
I'm paraphrasing the shot clock law.
I understand. I understand.
I guess I'm just asking.
No, I know, this,
Is it
we're all
denied
caught
or
in
is
it,
it lack of action?
yes, Walter, we're all caught in the crack on this thing, and I appreciate your position.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I would just to address this, again, I need to look at the minutes of last meeting, because that would be the controlling one. Because at this point, it has not been approved or rejected.
Yeah.
Unless it was denied at the last one. My remembrance is, that's what we did at the last one. I may be remembering wrong.
All right, let's put it this way. Let me ask county attorney to give me a written opinion.
Okay, I will do that.
Will you give me a written opinion on the status of this project, and so we can provide that to the residents and to Rakowitz Engineering and to the developer?
And to the court.
I think that's the most appropriate thing we can do, I believe. I want to thank everybody for your patience, working with me, trying to keep order. That's a tough thing to do, so thank you very much. I appreciate your help very much. You're all a bunch of good people. We're all neighbors, We appreciate this. Sir? Yeah, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and because we have a bunch of old men up here. Yeah. And I'm the oldest one, because they always point out to me. ready to convene. All right, let's start the recording. We're going to come back into session from recess for the regular meeting of Atascosa County Commissioners Court, January 11th, being 11 a.m. And try to get our auditor under control. I know. She's ignoring me. All right, so we're on agenda item number 6. And for the record, agenda item 5B failed for lack of a motion. Agenda item 6, Roger Garcia, discuss take appropriate action concerning improving the FY 2021-2022 fire service contract for Pristine VFD. Direct County Judge signed. Contract is inadvertently left off the last agenda. Need a motion, please? Motion by Commissioner Knowlton, second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 7, Laura Pavelic, discuss and take appropriate action concerning approving publication of the Treasurer's Report for December 2020.
Mine won't be quite so long. I'm just asking the commissioners and the judge to approve my treasurer's report for publication.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Perez, second by Commissioner Knowlton. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I see the second page of your agenda? I've lost mine in my paperwork here somewhere. Thank you. Number 8, Constable Medals, discuss and take appropriate action concerning racial profiling report for Precinct 4. That's in his reports, so we just need a motion to approve it. Motion by Commissioner Riley.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 9, Sheriff Sauer, discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel. Existing employee Jose Mendoza, position jail, lieutenant, pay rate 52627.33 annually, $120 uniform, 40 hours of overtime. Salary budget area 012-442-570. Physical drug test not applicable. Start date 02/01/2021. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, gentlemen. Due to, of course, Martin Gonzalez leaving and Mike Benavides moving up to jail administrator, I'm promoting Jose Mendoza to jail lieutenant effective February 1st, 2021.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Knowlton.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. New employee David McCormick, position Deputy Sheriff Patrol, pay rate 46533.60 annually, Tier 2, 120 uniform, 175 holiday, 90-day county probation, 1-year agency probation. Salary budget area 012440-410. Physical drug pending. Start date 01/25/2021. Sure.
Yes, I have a vacancy for Deputy Sheriff and Patrol, which of course is an essential position, and I'd like to hire Mr. McCormick at the salary and benefits stated in the agenda. Physical and drug tests are pending. Effective start date is January 25th.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Perez, second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Commissioner Gillespie, discuss and take appropriate action concerning issuing McCoy Water Supply Corporation a permit for road bore located in Precinct 1 at 255 as far as the road for Tiffany Sanchez.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've spoken with McCoy Water. I've been to location. I make a motion to accept the program.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 11, Commissioner Riley. Discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel. New employee Lee Harold Holly, position precinct 4 worker, pay rate $39,648 annually, salary budget area 024-400-402, physical drug test pending, start date 01/11/2021. Commissioner Riley.
Change the start date to 12/1/21, please.
Change it to what?
2/1/21.
02.
February 1st.
01/2021. February 1st, 2021 to be the start date for Lee Holly with precinct 4.
Yes, this is fill a CDL driver position, which is essential. I lost the employee due to medical reasons. I wish to hire Lee Holly.
Well, you'll get a welder, won't you?
We don't want to do that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Riley. Second by Commissioner Gillespie. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 12, discuss, review, and take action to accept and approve any invoices or payroll. The payroll is the small payroll of $156,746.17. And the reports. I'm sorry, that's invoices. And there's no live checks, and these have already been signed, so need a motion to approve the payroll and the bills, please.
Make a motion to accept all payroll and bills prepared.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Next is the reports. Number 13, discuss and review, take action on reports submitted. We're missing the inmate fund, the commissary fund, county clerk for December, and I'm sure they'll get those in. Motion to approve the reports, please. Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. And number 14, comments from commissioners. No action to be taken. The next regular Commissioners Court meeting is set for Monday, January 25th. Any comments from commissioners? Being none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you for loaning me your agenda. Thank everybody for your patience and time and getting